Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Mike's DVDs and Blu-rays collection. That's my channel, that's my name. Today guys, we're going to talk about a very famous, controversial photographer slash filmmaker, Larry Clark. Say what you will about him. He's been controversial in the past. He made a couple of books, one in the 70s and I think one in the early 80s, amongst other things. I think one was called Tulsa, and the second one was like Teenage Lust or something like that. They were very famous photo books and stuff. And he was a type of guy that he would kind of hang out with the subjects, you know, especially when he was a photographer. He would hang out with the group of people, like in the Tulsa book, which were a lot of younger adults, you know, drugs and different stuff was, you know, going on. The seedy, darker side of life. And that's kind of what, you know, he focuses on in his work. You know, he kind of captures what's really going on, you know, under the surface and stuff like that. So he first came on my radar as a filmmaker, and that's pretty much all I know him as. I mean, I haven't looked at any of his books or anything like that. But very interesting, because the movie I want to talk about first is probably his most famous movie. Came out in 1995. And I had graduated high school in 1994. So, you know, I was 18, 19 when this came out. And the movie kind of centers around teenagers and people like that. So it was kind of... It was relatable like that, even though, you know, I wasn't a skater and I wasn't, you know, someone doing drugs and all this stuff, you know, that takes place in it and everything. But it was very interesting, and the realism, just the whole realism that kind of crosses the line of documentary, you know. It almost seems like a documentary, you know, but it's like, let's say it looks like a documentary, but it, you know, you got the people acting in it. A lot of the actors, I would say 80%, 90% of them were not actors. They were just regular people that, you know, he knew, hanging out in Central Park, skateboarding, stuff like that. And now Larry Clark was a lot older than the people, you know, in his movies and the people he would hang out with and stuff. One of the people that he befriended, skateboarding and doing all that stuff, was a young kid named Harmony Korine. Now, he would go on to be just a train wreck of a personality. I mean, he would show up on David Letterman and be drunk, and just, there's a whole bunch of stuff you can look up about Harmony Korine. But now, you know, he's pretty normal now, and he's still making movies and writing and doing stuff like that. But this put Harmony Korine on the map. It pretty much put Larry Clark on the map, even more so, out of obscurity. But the movie I'm talking about is Kids. And it's a movie that is just so real. It's just so realistic that it almost has a vibe of like horror to it in a way, because it's kind of like knowing what one of the kids or one of the guys in this movie does, you know, carelessly and everything. It's quite frightening, you know. It's quite frightening and everything. And I mean, it really is a masterpiece of what it is, you know, and everything. And it's a movie, I must admit, I can't watch all the time, because once you watch this, you go on this journey, and it almost feels like an experience that you just kind of want to forget for a minute, you know. It's just very, very, very rough around the edges, you know, the storyline and everything in it. And it's hard to describe. I'm not going to go into every little thing about this, but it centers around a group of kids, skateboarders. They pretty much don't go to school. They just kind of live, you know, day to day, you know, smoking blunts and drinking 40s and skateboarding and having sex and just doing all this stuff, and they're basically just aimless, careless youth that just, they're not thinking about tomorrow. They don't have plans. They're just living for today, and just some of the scariness. I mean, it is frightening when you look at it. I mean, when I watched this a lot in my very early 20s, I think, and to watch it now, as being like 47 with kids and stuff, it even has another level of like, whoa, to it and stuff. So, but really made it. I mean, it's a masterpiece. I mean, it's controversial. It's pushing the limits of everything that he could push at that time. I'm not sure if it was rated NC-17 when it first came out. I don't remember. I know it ended up with actually this DVD is not rated, so I mean it may have been. Like on the cover, Siskel and Ebert give it 2 thumbs up. The New York Times gave it a great review. Even on the front of this, it has warning: this critically acclaimed film is for mature audiences only. Parental discretion is advised. I mean, that's pretty heavy to put that on there and stuff. But yeah, kids, Larry Clark, Harmony Korine, pretty much made this movie that you will not forget. Definitely will not forget. Now, this was another movie that he would make a few years later, and this one was highly rated too, by Larry Clark. This came out in 2001. Siskel and Ebert loved it. New York Times, Chicago, Roger Ebert loved it. The movie's called Bully. And again, you got a different time, a different place. This takes place in Florida. The other one was New York. You got some younger people, similar in what they do and live their lives and stuff, but there's somebody is going to be murdered. I mean, a girl talks to her boyfriend, I want to murder this guy. I want that. So this whole, it ends up a group of people go down, they get this guy, and it kind of focuses around that, how they deal with it, the murder, and how each one of them deal with it differently and everything. And it's really good. I just want to say a little bit about it. Actually, let me tell you about who stars in it. You got Brad Renfro, Bayou Phillips, Rachel Miner, Michael Pitt, Leo Fitzpatrick, which he was in Kids, and Nick Stahl. So a lot of up and coming young actors at that time, and some of them were famous people, like Bayou Phillips is John Phillips, and the Mamas and Papas. I believe that's his daughter. But I remember Rachel Miner. I think I'm pronouncing her name right. She was kind of the hot actress of the moment in the early 2000s and stuff, and Brad Renfro and everybody. But yeah, it's got a great cast in it. So Marty, who's played by Brad Renfro, is a tormented surfer who, despite vicious abuse, relies on his longtime pal Bobby, played by Nick Stahl, who rides to the beach and local South Florida bars when Bobby turns his unwanted attention to Marty's new girlfriend, Lisa, played by Rachel Miner, and her best friend, Allie, played by Bayou Phillips. Lisa decides Bobby's reign of terror must end. Assembling a crew of alienated suburban teens, she forms a deadly plan to get Bobby out of the way once and for all. As the conspiracy unfolds, friends turn into enemies and casual acquaintances become co-defendants to a murder that rocked America to its core. So, I believe it's roughly based on a true story, based on it, some of it. Let's see, or I'm sorry, who wrote this? It's based on a novel by Jim Schultz, screenplay by Zachary Long and Roger Pullis. I was thinking the director had something to do with it, but Larry Clark, another powerful movie. I mean, that's something that can be said about kids and this one. Just powerful movies that really hit you, and you remember it. It really sticks with you for days after seeing it and everything, and it really takes you there. It almost puts you in the seat with these people, and just very interesting and stuff. So, Bully, highly recommend that, guys. And finally, this is more of a bigger production, I believe. Maybe this had a little bigger production going on with it and everything, because you got some bona fide big actors in it this time. So this movie I'm going to talk about, Another Day in Paradise. And by the way, these are all on DVD, and they're all by Trimark. Trimark Pictures presents released these. But Another Day in Paradise stars James Woods. You got Melanie Griffith in it. It's got some new performances by some up-and-coming new actors by Vincent Kartheiser and Natasha Gregson Wagner. I think Natasha is what's his name? Robert Wagner's daughter. But yeah, this is Another Day in Paradise. The new film from acclaimed director Larry Clark is a sexy and thrilling portrayal of a makeshift family of professional thieves on a cross-country crime spree. James Woods and Melanie Griffith give outstanding performances as the scheming couple who adopt, in quotes, two young lovers played by Vincent and Natasha. Brilliantly played by Vincent and Natasha, into their renegade family in order to teach them the ropes of criminal life. So, pretty interesting. It at times it reminds me of Drugstore Cowboy, in the sense that they're a group of four and they're kind of, pulling some robberies and they're doing drugs and stuff. Kind of reminds me of that a little bit, if you ever seen Drugstore Cowboy. And actually Gus Van Sant, the director of Drugstore Cowboy, in the very beginnings, when Larry Clark was wanting to get into movies, start making some movies and stuff, Gus Van Sant really championed him by wanting to put up some money and even help try to produce the movie, get some backing for him and stuff. Eventually it did. It took longer than they intended for it. It took about 4 years, and then kids came out and everything. So, but anyways, really, really good movie. Another seedy movie where you're in the driver's seat, or you're a passenger in this seat of a car that's taking you somewhere that you don't know where this is going or what's going to happen, and these people, dangerous and just really unforgettable. I mean, all three of these movies are really just unforgettable, powerful movies, controversial. And I don't even know if they would even make movies like this nowadays. I mean, I don't think kids could be made in this day and age. I don't think it would have the same punch to it, the realism, the genuineness of it all, because that's the thing about kids, is you really believe all this. You really believe these kids are so authentic because they're real kids. They're the real deal. They're really this person they're playing on this, because it has that documentary feel to it and everything. So anyways, there you go. That's 3 movies by Larry Clark. I mean, he did another movie I think called Ken Park, which was very controversial when it came out. I've never seen that one, and he's come out with he's come out with a few, but I've kind of dropped off seeing his movies after Another Day in Paradise, which I guess one day I'll try to find some of them. But a lot of his movies aren't easily accessible and stuff, so check that out. And Harmony Korine, such a wacky dude, crazy guy. Dude, Google some YouTube videos of him, like on David Letterman and stuff. It's just really cool. And I think the Vice channel has kind of a small little 20-30 minute documentary on him, what he's doing now. Look for that, because it all ties in with Larry Clark and all this. So anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I mean, there's a lot to say about Larry Clark and these movies that I'll never be able to touch upon with any kind of true critical assessment. But just in a nutshell, that's what I want to say about Larry Clark and stuff. And those 3 movies are really good. They are rewatchable movies and all that good stuff. So if you can find them out there, check them out. I don't believe any of them are on Blu-ray. I don't believe. And by the way, I didn't show it, but I have Kids on Laserdisc too. So just point that I didn't show it, but I have it. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I truly do. If you made it this far in the video, thank you. And give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Don't forget to comment and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time with another set of recommendations for your viewing enjoyment. So later, y'all.